Hey folks, the Son of the Road Haunts, and I am back with Spirit Halloween 2023 made in Minecraft. Now, before we get to the store, I just like to say, it's a little Jack the Reaper up there. Credit to the YouTuber Irish Hunk for the design. He makes Spirit Halloweens in Minecraft as well. And I thought, hey, that's a really cool design, and I wanted something to spice up the store, so I stole it, because honestly, theft is pretty cool. But yeah, full credit to him. It's a very cool design. I just changed up some of the blocks for shading. But you know, let's just go inside, shall we? Close the door. Here we are in the front archway. So, to just walk us through, first we have Stilts. It's a rather big build, I must say, and it looks a little janky, especially with a dripstone hat and the two eyes. I don't know, I just kind of did different colors to sort of simulate the different colors of makeup. And he's just very big. I did end rods for bowling pins, because why not? But yeah, he looks alright. You need a little bit of imagination, obviously, but that goes for everything here. Here you have Leatherface in the recently added Piglin head, and he has a name tag in his hand. And sure, like a sword or something would have worked, but a name tag works well as a sort of chainsaw, and a buzzsaw, just the saw, would not have been visible. But this sort of works. I'm experimenting with armor trims, so I used the Vex armor trim here. I don't have the names memorized though. But yeah, it works really well for the whole open suit look. But I think he looks okay. We have some dead plants down here. Then you have the archway, Spirit Hollow Cemetery, with the two thingies on the side. The big dead tree. I think that looks pretty cool. And you have the gargoyles here that are made simply by just an anvil and a skull on top. They look a little silly, but they work for what they are, and they get the point across. Now, we go in here and we have the Martian Warrior. This one came out pretty damn well. As you can see, he has the crossbow to sort of simulate the gun. And I have him on a slab just so that way his head would fit into the glass. He turned out pretty well. I was not sure what pose to do, since with this it sort of pokes out on the glass, but whatever. He looks pretty good like that. The copper blocks here are supposed to sort of look like windows. Over here is a weird one, because this here is Heckles the Clown. As all of you know, he's been recalled. So in Flagship, this spot is taken up by Poor George. Although when I built this, Heckles was still supposed to be there. And I'm just keeping him there, because you know that's what he was originally supposed to be. And plus I think the whole Heckles design would be a lot more interesting than Poor George. Yeah, the chains as a sort of vines as well. But that looks pretty solid. Over here we have Slim, which is pretty big. Now, I followed a tutorial online for a clown face. That's what this is. And it came out pretty well. It works for Slim with a big head and all. You got the popcorn bag with a sort of popcorn on top. And I did a redstone torch as a little balloon thingy majigs on his head. He looks pretty good. Then over here we have the Widow. Looks a little strange. To get hair, I tried to do a netherite helmet, a Steve head, and I used an armor trim to sort of get the necklace. She turned out okay, not the best I've made. Oh, whoopsies. I like fidgeting, so I just destroyed the chain. But whatever, you know, the Widow looks pretty good. And now into the walkthrough, which is quite chaotic, so I tried to recreate this the best I could. Over here is Dagger Mike. As you can see, he only has one dagger in his hand, because that's the most I could work out. I experimented with armor trims a bit. But, whatever your opinions on the animatronic are, I tried, and I think he looks pretty okay. I did redstone torches to sort of get the hanging lanterns look. And the thing is, I couldn't really recreate the fire lanterns in a way that looked good, because lanterns just wouldn't work there, and just looked super dopey. But whatever. Then you turn over here and have Scary Sitting Scarecrow. His face is sort of up against the pillar. But I have him sitting on an anvil just because it looks okay. And you can see the bowl in his hand. Can't make him out too well, but oh well. And over here, and when I was at Flagship, I took a video that none of you guys are going to see, but just going over all the locations of the plaques. So we have Nightcrawler, Buzzsaw. On this side, you have Menacing Molly, Hugs the Clown, Cerberus, Henry Hustle, and finally, Grim and Ophelia. And so these are like where they're supposed to be. That's where they are in the themes. But, you know, I just tried to get this as accurate as possible. And there's this sort of thing here. And I guess I forgot to mention, but I'm mentioning now, for the hologram and the ceiling, I just did a block of Skulk that works really well for things like screens because it has that animated texture, that sort of night sky look. I like Skulk. It's a really good thing to build with. But yeah, that was the front theme. You can see the little, like, windows there, Jack the Reaper. But I think this turned out pretty well. And it was pretty hard to recreate because Spirit's themes this year are really detailed. But let's go over to the back theme, starting off with Hellspawn. I decided to use the Piglin head as well, but he's pretty much how I'd build Mr. Dark, you know. Then over here we have the Lord Raven tombstone. I don't know, I use this hack a lot, anvils with a skull on top because they look okay. And then here we have the Sinister Gargoyle, which looks silly as hell, but whatever, you know, 2 little legs, the skull. Up there we got Howling Spirit. I noticed when the armor trims has this sort of like wailing ghost look, so I just decided to use that as a head instead of a standard skull. And I think it turned out pretty alright. It definitely works for what I was trying to go for. Over here we have Eternal Rest, just a standard turned back staircase with a skull on it. We have Gourdo, which was one of the decorated pots placed on top of an armor stand with a pumpkin head. And you have Darling Dolly, who's just a regular armor stand perched on top of a lectern, which from afar looks pretty okay, but that was just to get her height. Then you go through the mausoleum walkthrough, and you see Desmodus. I just did 2 blocks of blackstone for the tree, a stair to sort of get his weird stance, got his 2 wings, and a piglin head. That turned out pretty well. Little skelly bones, same design as last year. He's just a stair with a skull on top because, you know, it's simple, sort of looks like him when he's crouched down. And over here we have Grave Watcher, who's sort of indented into the ground to make her look smaller. Using the armor stands, I managed to get her holding a candle in both hands. And I also used the armor trim to get this sort of beads across her chest. Pretty good. But this turned out pretty well. Again, you have more dead plants. Over here, I put glow lichen to sort of look like all of the vines and stuff. You have the candles here in front of the black heart. You can see the Reaper up there and the woman. I put a lot more effort into the animatronics this time around with things like layering armor stands on top, you know, the armor trims and all that sort of stuff, and sort of pushing them closer to the blocks. But this turned out pretty well. I have a little slab to raise the Reaper. But yeah, this turned out pretty damn well. Here you have the coffin. I don't think it actually says "Here Lies," but whatever. It's this sort of photo op you can use. Okay, it's hard to control like this. But yeah, sort of looks like the coffin. I used a banner to get this sort of inside look. Then over here, we have the Jumping Spider Mausoleum gimmick. It would have been really cool, and I know I brought him up already, but I know Irish Hunk is probably going to make this mechanical, which would be cool. And if you're watching this and you aren't, chop chop, buddy. But yeah, I decided not to have the doors open just so you could have the symmetry. You have the door knocker there and the jumping spider. Same design I always use, just a diorite stair and the skull. Looks a little weird, but oh well. And you just have the mausoleum like that. The backdrop, I just used blue netherwort, coal for the floor, and Skulk as well. As I've said, Skulk makes a very good night sky. But stick around, because you may think this is it. But no. It sure isn't. You have the masks. Because if we go to the back, I decided to make a section for the online onlys, based on the sort of photo ops we saw leaked before. First one is Demonica. Of course, we haven't seen her, but we've heard she's returning. This is the sort of best I could get. Looks a little weird, but I did the amethyst armor trim on netherite. So that looks pretty good, you know, to see the sort of purple skin. Over here, you have the Crypt Keeper, who has a chain helmet on his head in order to sort of look like the weird wispy hair he has. I used a wither skull as a sort of shriveled, bony look. And yeah, this guy turned out pretty well as well. We have Deathstalker, who I did a whole sort of thing with armor stands in order to get his weird hunch. Can't really see the mouth, but oh well, you know. You can still make out this is Deathstalker, though, when you, like, see what it's supposed to be. Then you have Creepy Rising Doll. Not much going on here. Just netherite armor with an armor trim. Oh well. Then here, really big, you have Thresher. And you can walk through him. This is definitely one of the weirder builds, though. Because, you know, he's just a weird animatronic, but that's the best I could get. And finally, we have Collector's Minion. One we have not seen, but I just decided to make a small collector because I'm pretty sure that's what it'll be. The pot works pretty well for the bag. And yeah, I mean, that is Spirit Halloween 2023 built in Minecraft. So I hope you enjoyed this. Stay tuned because I have Spirit Halloween 2023 built in another game. A fairly old one, you know, older than me, but hey, it'll be very cool. So stay tuned for that. Like and subscribe if you're new. Tell me what you thought of this build, if I should make more. I will make more because I love doing this. And I'll see you in the next one. Farewell.